Hey guys, before we get into today's video, I want to shout out my own Rust gambling website once more, Rusty Saloon. We just launched our own affiliate system, so if you guys want to make a code and get 5% rake back for anyone who deposits that uses your code, head over to the affiliate tab, create your own code, and have your friends use it. Or if you don't have a code, feel free to use code Hobbs or Saloon and get yourself a free 50 cents. Alright guys, let's get into the video. Now before we start, I just want to say I think this is one of my best wipes I've ever played in Rust. I had an absolute blast, and while you're going to see me messing with a clan a lot, I want to specify there is no bad blood. This group were all super good sports, and I talked to them after it, and they were all great guys, so don't give them any hate, regardless of the competition you see in this video. Immediately on Force Wipe, we beat the 500 player queue on EU Face Punch 1, loaded in, headed to the Snow by Outpost, and made our base on top of a rock. This would make it much more defendable and much harder for many of the Zergs on the server just to pummel the base, giving me, as a solo, a bit of an advantage. Now in this situation, you can see top right, there is a bullseye, which means I'm hostile and will get killed if I run to outpost. So I either have to wait for 1 minute or kill all these players pushing me. In the absolute nick of time, I was able to make it into the safe zone the second I was no longer hostile, getting away with this early game loot that would help a ton. I returned home and got furnaces down. These would be huge as I could leave base and steadily be producing metal frags, which would help a ton when it came to creating early game and even mid-tier weapons. What the fuck? That's fucked, bro. This right here is a pretty good representation of how the first day went. I didn't make much progress as I was often running from larger groups as I was severely outnumbered on this server. However, when I got on for the second day, I realized I had a much bigger problem. A massive Zerg had built between me and Outpost, and they roamed 24/7, outnumbering me severely. There wasn't much I could do, however I decided I had to grub to get some kits. Well, grubbing initially didn't work. I heard this group rocket raiding, so I went over with some ladders in the hopes of getting some resources from their large furnaces which had been running. I had gotten a ton of metal fragments and ore. Immediately upon returning home, I set to upgrading my base. As a solo, you can never have too strong of a base, and it definitely doesn't hurt to make your base extremely fortified, as that is one of the few advantages you have over groups when they come to radio. I returned to the Zerg's base, this time with it only an Ioka. I found some neighbors of mine had already built back in and were looking around. They were pretty friendly and decided to boost me, which I really appreciated. I then decided to chill in the base and wait for the neighbors to get back from their raid. While I had failed to get out with the AKs, it wasn't a complete loss. I was able to return to base and immediately started upgrading. This is when I saw a swimmer in the ocean. All of this metal ore was huge for me. This would seriously help when it came to upgrading and making my base a more expensive raid. Shortly after this, I did do a solo large oil run, however it really wasn't eventful. Overall, it was just a great way to get some tier 3 guns and loot. Upon returning home, you guys know exactly what we did. We went back, the group was out once more and had left their furnaces going, so we went to collect our little paycheck. I went home to depot, but upon returning home, I decided to go immediately back out, back to the base, and see if I could camp them for any more loot. While that had been a failure, I decided it was time to do another large oil run and get more tier 3 loot, so I headed to water treatment, where I was encountered by a bit of resistance. I let a few hours pass and went back to the Zerg's compound once more. This time they had put up barricades, but that would not stop me. Shortly after, the only two Zerg members that were on flew away in a minicopter and began raiding. I decided it was time to go and counter. He had seen me in the window, which meant he had warned his teammate. I decided to flank around the compound and ladder in on the back side. The last thing these kids would expect is for someone not to go through the open breach and instead ladder over a wall. So hopefully I'd have the element of surprise. I looted up and returned to my base in their minicopter. Understandably so, they got off for the night. I don't blame them at all. However, this meant that it was my turn to head over and begin raiding them. Raiding in just 2 doors had gotten me to their drop boxes. There was actually quite a bit in here, and it really made it quite worth it. I gotten a bit of sulfur, a ton of materials, and some guns. I decided to transfer these home and then come back with more explosives and see where that got me. I decided to go home and craft more boom, along with transfer a row of jackhammers that I had found. While a minor inconvenience, these kids brought me a free heli, so I don't really mind. I continued raiding into the base and hit a major jackpot, finding sulfur, a box of metal frags, and almost a small box of jackhammers once more. I returned to base, making sure to never keep too much at the raid, as it was important that I got out with as much loot as possible in case these kids came back online. Aside from that, I continued to raid into the base. However, I didn't hit much more. I got 3 boxes of wood, a box of stone, 4 boxes of metal ore, and another box of metal fragments. However, other than that, there wasn't much. I picked around some, but it was already extremely late for me, and I decided my sleep wasn't worth offline raiding these kids any further. I had gotten a large amount of their loot, and honestly, I was content with how much a solo had done to this massive group. I'm currently not offlined on this server, and there may be a part 2, who knows. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate if you've made this far in the video. Please consider liking, subscribing, and commenting, as that all helps me very, very much. Alright guys, have a good one. Peace.